It was just a rough structure, and I just said, Jack, I'd really like to. It's about a boy who's killed a young girl, because back home there was a couple of incidents, wasn't there? There was one, a young girl where I'm from, Liverpool. She was stabbed to death, but I think she was 13, and she was stabbed by a boy who was 15. And then there was a young trans girl who was lured. What was her name again? Brianna, who was lured into the park, and this boy and this girl stabbed her to death. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought, what kind of a society are we living in where this is happening?
So in 3 weeks, you made the Netflix all-time top 10, right? So now you're 3 months, and you're number 3 all-time. Like, look at this number. Look at that number. 140 million views. What do those numbers mean to you? How does that hit you?
Numbers?
They're just not, but that represents people watching your
Of
show.
course,
It's
yeah,
nuts.
no, I know. You know, look, I'm from Liverpool, and we can get, I think, 65, 70,000 in our stadium. So that's a lot of football stadiums.
That's a big stadium. Yeah.
It's a lot of football stadiums, yeah. It's unbelievable. But we didn't make it for that reason.
Yeah.
It's a very colloquial drama set in, a fictitious northern town. We filmed it in a real place called Pontefract. And it was made with love, with integrity, with respect, and just with a lot of joy, do you know what I mean?
And the thing is, and I hope one of the things that I hope the industry takes from Adolescence is the particular can become a global.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if we tell our little stories, and we tell them authentically and well enough, people want to watch it. I mean, we were number 1 in Saudi Arabia for weeks, and it was like, I don't understand what anyone from Saudi Arabia is taking from our show, but I'm so pleased they are taking something. Do you know what I mean? I'm so pleased they're taking a story, and we tried to take ownership of a small story about us, and we're just delighted that other people have wanted to watch it.
We said from the very beginning, didn't we? We were never going to answer all the questions.
No.
So we were going to leave it open, do you know what I mean, for the audience to
It's very
to come on a
partial, it's
journey.
very incomplete. It's actually really weird storytelling in the most part. We establish on who the killer is at the end of episode 1. It isn't a whodunit.
Yeah.
And we took some big swings, and we're so grateful that Netflix were able to go with that, and that they sort of got what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
They were the perfect marriage, basically, do you know what I mean? We had this idea, and then it was kind of looking for the accountability as well. So it was kind of who is accountable, who is to blame? Maybe we're all to blame. So it's looking at the parents, it's looking at the school system, it's looking at society, community, and the
His
government,
mates.
and the government, and his friends, and his environment. But then as well, and I said to Jack right at the beginning, and we use this from the very start, that kind of the beautiful saying where they say it takes a village to raise a child. And this is the genius of Jack, though, because this is where Jack said goes. I said, that kind of saying, Jack, it takes a village to raise a child. And Jack then said,
It takes a village to destroy a child. But I'm that's the thing of the darkness. I'm the darkness, he's the light.
we're both dark and light. We're 50-50. But it's that way of looking at it. Do you know what I mean? It's yes, they are, but also this is what's happened. Yeah. And when we were younger, we didn't have the internet. I mean, you got the internet. We didn't have that. We didn't have the internet. You know what I mean? So when I was in my room, I was like drawing pictures or playing with Star Wars figures or doing whatever. Do you know what I mean? But not the possibilities of what young kids are doing today.
Yeah.
So that's now a big part of it, and that also has some kind of accountability. So that's what we wanted to look at, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And the incel stuff and the manosphere stuff came as we were looking into Jamie, because Stephen, one of the things he said to me on that first phone call was, I don't want to blame the parents. I don't want this to be a show which makes things easy. I don't want it to be a show which is about, his mum's an alcoholic or his dad's abusive or his uncle's this or, do you know what I mean? Like any of those sorts of questions. I want it to be more complicated than that. And then as I was going through it, I kept on just finding holes. And it was actually someone that works with me, Mariella, who just said, I think you need to look at incel culture, and I think you need to look at the manosphere. And as soon as I found that statistic, that idea, it's not a statistic, it's an idea of 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. And I thought how powerful that was as an idea, and how powerful I'd have found that as a 13-year-old. The world is against you, and that if you are going to live a normal life, you have to find ways to manipulate the world.
Yeah.
You know, that was when suddenly it was like, okay, that's the final piece of the jigsaw. Now Jamie feels complete.
This episode 3, is his first time ever being on screen, right? That's what you shot first, and he had never done anything before. So that's his first time on screen.
Yeah.
So first, how do you find an actor like that?
Well, you have a wonderful casting director called Shaheen Bey. And what Shaheen did was she didn't just go to conventional places. We also wanted, and I don't mean it to sound disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but we wanted a kid who hadn't done anything, who wasn't affected by the industry in any way, do you know what I mean? And that's no disrespect at all, but we did give the chance and the opportunity. But what she did was she says it beautifully. You know, you look at schools, you go to youth clubs, you go to small drama groups, you put it out there, and you cast your net vast and wide. And I think we got over 500 tapes of kids who hadn't done stuff before, and you sift through them. And Phil, our wonderful, amazing director, and Shaheen, and then us as a collective, as they came closer and closer, we narrowed it down to 5. And then I did a workshop with these 5 young boys. And what we did as well was something that we did, which, again, like I said, we threw the rule book out the window. Normally, you'd get them down to this 5 and you'd pick your one and you'd go to the others. Thank you, well done, nice one for coming, but it's not going to work out. Take care, look after yourself. And I thought, fuck that, I'm not doing that. You can't break little kids' hearts when they've gone through all of this process, do you know what I mean? And so we changed the rules a little bit and we went, look, there's other roles, so you won't get this one. And if you don't get this one, would you like to play one of the other roles? Because you're brilliant, and we think you've got a lot of talent. And so every one of those lads who were in that last final workshop all made it into the film, and they're all brilliant, you know what I mean? But he had something other. He had something rather special and slightly unique. And I think that's what you see. You just see that beauty that he has. It's simple human behaviour. You make someone feel great about what they're doing, they're going to shine the shit out of it. Yes. Do you know what I mean? Yes. You pick the best as well. You pick the best people that you want for that particular job. And then everyone feels like they have a right to be there. And you said it beautifully. What was it? You said authorship about...
Oh yeah, everyone felt like an author on that show. Everyone, every single person. And the good thing about having... We had the same company of actors for 2 weeks. Quite a lot of them for 3 weeks,
right.
and they absolutely took responsibility for their roles. They absolutely, every detail was done. But also that they have been given the opportunity to be part of the project from the beginning of it to the end. Do you know what I mean? These are people who are normally day players. They're brought in for 1 or 2 days,
right.
And then they're said, thanks very much, goodbye. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
They're
with
there
us...
5 days of rehearsal, 5 days of tech.
Exactly, and they're just going, this isn't boring, this is actually amazing, because I'm immersing myself in the structure of this storytelling.
And that's also for the crew as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we all get on that train together and we don't get off until we stop. Yeah. But that's everyone, that's the whole collective. So, Matt Lewis, our DOP, who's phenomenal, his whole team were magnificent. It's just common sense. You make everybody feel like they are a part of it because they are a part of it. Yeah. Because without one piece, and I mean one piece, I mean the fucking fella who's looking after the toilets and facilities, you know what I mean? You say, good morning, all right, so you're all right, and he's like, yeah, it sounds, yeah. He's wanting to be there, he's wanting to do that job, do you know what I mean? You treat every single piece with the same love and care as you do from the top to the bottom, because that structure shouldn't be there anyway. It's a hierarchical system that we work under, but I just think it's a load of bollocks, personally, because we're all, everyone's a creative, and everyone wants to be there. So every piece of the jigsaw deserves to be there, and then you have this beautiful final picture. But without one piece, it's not the same picture at the end.
I tell you, the hardest job, you worry about actors messing up or you worry about the camera messing up. I think the hardest job on that set was the sound. Yeah. Because that's the bit that no one was checking. That was the bit where it was just kind of like,
You just assume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you got it?
Don't assume.
Because if you haven't got it, we're fucked. Do you know what I mean? They were the bits that weren't given any support from anyone. Everyone was going, "Oh, well done, Matt. Well done, Matt. You were brilliant." Stephen, that was sensational. No one was talking to the sound dude. It was like,
Some guy sweating over it. Yeah.
But then we all got mic'd at the very beginning, and the best bit is usually, I mean, you may have seen it if you saw it, but you'd see the boom operator running at it. Do you know what I mean? Not wanting to be in the shot, and you'd have to look at every single mirror and every single reflection, and there's a lot that goes into it. But it's the same thing, you treat every single member of your crew with respect and love and compassion, and you get the best out of everyone.
Yeah.
It was Phil who phoned me up who said, "I think we can make the camera fly." And that was the moment when suddenly that ending came possible in terms of, because I felt like we needed a geographical relationship with the murder site.
To see how close it was.
But then, on Tuesday of shoot week, Toby says, "Can you land that drone?" So it was supposed to just pass over the top of it. You were supposed to see the flowers below, and you were supposed to see the context in which the score fitted. "Can you land that drone?" And Matt said, "Maybe." And Toby said, "And can Stephen be there? Can Eddie be there?" And Eddie wasn't in the episode at that point.
He was never in the episode. And no, you couldn't have me neither.
No, we couldn't have you.
You couldn't have me because I wasn't that's why I was like, "What do you mean I'm here? I'm a producer. I'm an exec. It's my idea. What do we do? Let me get there." And we couldn't because of contractual reasons.
Yes,
so we had to do that whole day with Phil's brother being a stand-in.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And then by the afternoon, we got the sound thing, and so I could do it. But the wind was terrible. So we walked across the school, and we just had me stood by the traffic lights. Remember?
Yeah.
And we did that, and we finished it there. And that was one take that we had. The next day...
But we hadn't gone to the murder site,
we
which
hadn't
is
gone
what
to
we
the
really
murder
wanted
site,
to do.
Which is what we needed to do. The next day, on Thursday, it went up and it went over, and it was kind of jaggedy. And then Friday, we get to the last take anyway. We haven't got it. We've never had it clean. We get to the last take, and the wind was perfect. The scene was going amazingly. And I'm in the car, I'm in the van listening on the radio, and all I can hear is, because Sarah's like this kind of general soldier or whatever she was. She's going, "Right," and it's been handed over, "Right, the drone's in the air." And I'm sat there, and it's like 53 minutes or something. And then I just heard the drone coming, and I'm looking up, and I see the drone, and I see the van come, and they jump out the van and run, and then you see Matt coming, waiting to catch it, and I'm in my head, I'm going, "Wow, they've done it." I go, "Wow, they've done it," and then I go, "Shit, I'm in it." Fuck. So then I went, snap, bang, Eddie, right, get the flowers. Oh, let's go, open the door. Do you know what I mean? So that's how we worked. That's what it was like.
I thought it was weird you were smiling in that scene. Yeah.
Yes, lads, well done. No, yeah, it was mad.
That's great.
So we were constantly coming up against obstacles.
You know Craig Mazin, Script Notes? Mm-hmm. They had a thing on it about, Craig's a mate, but they had a thing on that podcast about the Wanna, and the Wanna being the director's thing, and do you know what I mean? Like, it's directors showing off and all this stuff. And I said to him, "You're wrong. The Wanna empowers the writer." Like, at the end of week 2, everyone was crowded around the script going, "We need to solve this. We need to solve that. We need to do this." Do you know what I mean? Because we were everything had to be perfect, because that's the rhythm that the story was being told at. And actually, the writer as rhythm maker, the writer as creator of the lines is a thing, but the writer as rhythm maker is actually a very rare thing for a writer to get. And I loved that. I loved having the power over the speed in which the story got told. So I think the script became almost this primary power, and that was a joy. So yes, has it changed the way I write? It's changed the way I write because I think the thing that we were talking about at the beginning about being partial, about being incomplete, I think, and encouraging audiences to lean forward. I'm going to take that with me wherever I go, but that thing of what it's like to be in control of the rhythm, I don't think I'll get that opportunity very often, but I loved having it.
Imagine how many John Lennons are sat in bedrooms that will never have the opportunity. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what the arts can do. I think we have an obligation to create opportunities for people from all kinds of backgrounds, diverse, wealthy, affluent, not so. Do you know what I mean? This is a space where we should all be equal. But for that space to be equal, I think we need an equal playing field, and that needs, subsidies from the government. And the arts needs more funding, do you know what I mean? I'm sure you're all behind me on that one, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And for us personally, it's trying to create those little opportunities wherever we can, or trying to help someone move up the ladder a little bit. We had a wonderful costume designer on this called Jess Schofield, who's amazing. She's brilliant, Jess. But Jess she'd never been a HOD, do you know what I mean? So this was an opportunity to be a HOD, and she smashed it. She absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
So it's about those things. It's about doing those things that you can. And we just want to, we want to make good work, and we want to make honest projects, you know what I mean?